There is a long-standing debate between evolutionists and creationists about the existence of dragons at a point in time in human history. We cannot say for sure if fire breathers existed, but we can confirm that the Komodo dragon is a beast to behold. Although they do not breathe fire, Komodo dragons have a venomous bite that will fall any animal in their path. What is the maximum bite force of a Komodo dragon? Where are these creatures found? All your questions about the dragon will be answered as we have compiled absolutely brutal moments of Komodo dragons eating everything in sight. Komodo dragons are a lizard species native to 5 Indonesian islands, including Rinca, Flores, and the island of Komodo. They are the largest living lizard in the world, with a fearsome reputation in the lands they rule over. Komodo dragons can grow up to 10 feet in length, from snout to tail, with an adult weighing around 154 pounds on average. Monster-sized Komodo dragons weighing 297 pounds have also been recorded. The records show that well-fed Komodo lizards can exceed the average size of their species by over 100 pounds. This physically imposing beast is a ferocious killer attacking any animal unfortunate enough to cross its path. In this clip, we observe 2 Komodo dragons doing what they do best, killing their prey in the most horrifying ways possible. A deer falls victim to the predator's venomous bite and is immobilized by the toxins coursing through its vein. One of the dragons goes for the right hind leg of the deer and begins tearing the prey's flesh into bite-sized chunks. The deer bleats and attempts to get away from the ravenous creatures, but its legs buckle, unable to carry its weight. The prey is at the mercy of 2 ruthless creatures. The dragons continue to rip away the flesh of the unlucky deer, breaking through the skin that keeps the deer's entrails in place. At this point, the deer collapses from blood loss, shock, and venom from the dragon's bite. The other Komodo joins in on the feast. It pulls off a large piece of the prey's intestines and runs off as the 2 dragons fight over it. Komodo dragons are properly equipped predators with a vast arsenal of offensive adaptations. Some might say they are too equipped. They have a wide array of weapons at their disposal, making them one of the most ferocious beasts in the wild. As the apex predator of their domain, these lizards fear no animal. They roam the islands of Indonesia with complete confidence. The only animal that can deal significant damage to them is another Komodo dragon. They possess sharp claws, shark-like teeth, powerful legs, and a venomous bite that is capable of taking down an adult human in a matter of hours. Their claws serve a variety of functions throughout their lifespan. Young Komodos use their powerful claws to climb trees, and as they mature, the claw is used solely for catching prey. Also, Komodos have the ability to stand on their hind legs to capture hard-to-reach prey. They are typically diurnal hunters, which means they mostly hunt during the day. Here, a Komodo is maiming and ripping apart a pregnant deer's midsection flesh. The vicious predator tears open its prey's stomach, exposing semi-digested food. The dragon proceeds to pull out the fetus from its mother. In a hard-to-watch moment, the aggressor swallows the fidgeting fetus whole. It returns to the mother and proceeds to consume the contents of the deer's belly. Through this gut-wrenching experience, the deer remains alive, bleeding softly. There are some movements from the unfortunate prey, but they were inconsequential to changing its fate. The dragon drags the deer back while trying to pull apart its victim's innards, a truly terrifying scene to witness. The typical hunting strategy for the biggest lizard in the world relies on stealth and power. They are very patient creatures, willing to wait for hours on a game trail. They wait for a big creature to walk along the path. Then, they launch their attack. The success of a Komodo's attack relies on whether the aggressor can bite the victim deeply, after which, the dragon will let go of the prey. The wounded animal's fate is sealed, and it might take up to 4 days for the venom to end its life. Using its acute sense of smell, the dragon will track down fallen prey and feast on it, usually in the company of other dragon. Here, a large predator tracks down the scent of a dead goat. The lone Komodo dragon crawls up to the carcass and clamps down on the goat's head. Then it begins to consume the meal whole. In a few gulps, the goat disappears into the predator's mouth with its hind legs sticking out. Taking a final attempt to push the victim further down its throat, the carcass disappears into the Komodo's belly. The dragon looks around at a curious bystander. It looks like it did not just eat a goat whole. The predator takes a few terrifying steps toward the camera and stops. The observer must have been completely horrified at the thought of the predator locking in on his position. In the wild, Komodo dragons have an average lifespan of about 30 years. They live in burrows which they dig out themselves. The holes can measure anywhere between 1 and 3 meters. The shelter is essential for the dragons because they have to monitor their body temperature manually. They retreat to the insulated burrow at night to preserve their body heat. Also, Komodos like to cool off in their burrows when it gets too hot outside. The location of this predator's shelter is usually placed in a strategic position where their prey might cross. A smart move from the predator to increase its chances of catching prey. Here is an ambitious Komodo dragon that tracked down the smell of a rotten wild boar carcass. The dragon sees the large boar and immediately attempts to swallow it. As seen earlier, Komodo dragons are known to ingest prey as large as a goat whole. The boar in this clip is bigger than a goat. The opportunistic predator is not bothered by this fact. It is ravenous and will try to force the animal into its mouth, even if it takes hours. One can notice for a split second that the dragon contemplates its actions, but soon it returns to stuffing its mouth with the head of the boar. Even if the Komodo successfully swallows the whole carcass, it will be seriously limited in its mobility as it is basically trying to overeat. On the bright side, Komodos do not have natural predators, so this one can find a nice spot to relax and digest the meal in peace. As apex predators, Komodos are not really known for their energetic pursuit of prey. Instead, they prefer to eat carcasses and carrion. Their hunting strategy revolves around injecting their venom into large prey and tracking them down once they are dead. An animal bitten by one of these predators already has its fate sealed. It is only a matter of time before the animal meets its end. Komodo venoms are loaded with deadly toxins that weaken and ultimately kill their prey. However, on rare occasions, Komodos can stealthily hunt and capture prey, mostly creatures on the smaller side. In this clip, a Komodo dragon captures a young pig. It clamps down on the pig's head, sinking its venom into its target's bloodstream. The victim, still breathing, cannot free itself from the grasp of the ravenous monster. All that it can do is scream into the dragon's mouth. The dragon maintains this position with its prey for a while before it chomps down on the piglet. The pig's screams get progressively muffled as it makes its way on a fateful journey to the gigantic lizard's stomach. Finally, the lizard consumes the piglet whole, and the screams of the victim are snuffed out. Komodo dragons have a scheduled nesting period in the year, typically lasting from June to August. A male will present himself to a female by rubbing his chin on her back and neck. The courtship ritual might get rough, with the male scratching his potential partner in the back. To make up for the testosterone-induced horseplay, the male licks areas around the female's shoulders, neck, head, and hind legs. Once the female accepts the male as a mate, the two reptilian lovers will engage in short but several mating sessions. Females will lay around 21 eggs at a time. This is known as an egg clutch, and it usually happens once a year. The females are left with the task of guarding the eggs, which they will do for several months. The eggs hatch between February and May. In this clip, a brave goat catches the eyes of a huge Komodo dragon. The goat attempts to defend itself by headbutting the predator. However, a brave heart alone is not enough to scare off the dragon. Although the reptile is shocked by the goat's attacks, it stays around the goat with complete determination to get itself a meal. The Komodo dragon launches his attack, and the target is now at its mercy. The big reptile tries to disembowel the goat by tugging on its head. After a few seconds, it is successful as the goat is now decapitated. The victim's headless body writhes on the ground in a gory scene. This clip shows that it is not a good idea to engage in a face-off against an animal as vicious as the Komodo dragon. If we make a list of picky eaters in the animal kingdom, these greedy lizards will not be on the list. Komodos are only interested in eating meat. Any type of meat is fair game. from tiny snakes and insects to animals as large as a water buffalo. These fascinating creatures enjoy the challenge of consuming anything that moves in their territory. Other animals that these reptiles have been observed to prey on in the wild are rodents, birds, monkeys, goats, wild boars, and deer. Here, a Komodo dragon comes across an eel washed up on shore. The dragon walks up to the carcass and takes a sniff. A large wave crashes on the shore, which moves the eel from the lizard's line of sight. Dejected, the Komodo continues about its day. After a while, it returns to the location of the dead eel, and this time around, it immediately tries to eat it. The predator gives warning bites to determine if the eel is truly dead before it snatches at the tail. Then, it proceeds to swallow the carcass whole, slurping the fish like an oversized spaghetti. Rarely do Komodos actively chase down their prey. In this video, a deer catches the eyes of a famished lizard. In an unexpected burst of speed, the dragon leaps after the nimble deer determined to get an afternoon meal. The aggressor catches the deer's hind legs, injecting toxic venom into its target's bloodstream. The deer manages to free itself, but it gets bitten again by its attacker. It flees the area and moves over to a beach where it begins to feel the effects of the lizard's venom. The Komodo dragon calmly chases after the deer and proceeds to rip apart its target's flesh while the deer is still alive. The unfortunate deer is exhausted and in for a long, drawn-out, painful death. Monkeys commonly make their home in rainforests. They are one of the more difficult prey for Komodo dragons to hunt due to their swiftness and arboreal lifestyle. Occasionally, the monkey slips up and lets down its guard. That is when the lizard sees the opportunity to get a quick meal. In this clip, a curious monkey regrets its life decisions as it finds itself in the jaws of a Komodo dragon. The dragon is determined to make a meal out of the monkey, no matter how loud its victim shrieks. With a few gulps, all that is left of the monkey is its feet sticking out of the mouth of the greedy predator. It looks like Curious George does not have what it takes to survive in the wild after all, and natural selection will rid its inquisitive genes out of the gene pool. Here, a fruit bat catches the eyes of a Komodo dragon. The massive lizard leaps into the air in an effort to catch the arboreal mammal that is dangling in the trees. When that fails, the Komodo begins to climb the tree, hauling its massive bulk off the ground. Realizing that the predator means serious business, the bat moves up the tree to thinner branches. The Komodo leaps at the fruit bat from the tree, but its target is out of its reach. It comes down and tries again. However, it fails to grab hold of the flying mammal. Ultimately, the Komodo will have to give up its hunt because it is not adequately equipped to deal with the bat. Water buffaloes are among the animals that Komodos prey upon. They are herbivores that rely totally on vegetation for sustenance. Like most mammals, they give birth to young with a gestation period of around 10 months. Calves tend to stay with their mother for about 3 years. Adult water buffaloes are massive creatures, with the males reaching weights well over a ton. Even with their large bulk, water buffaloes can reach speeds of 20 miles per hour. It is inconceivable to think that these gigantic beasts might be prey to a predator less than a quarter of their size. This gory video shows a buffalo calf getting eaten alive by 2 Komodo dragons. The huge lizards go for the calf's soft underbelly, trying to get to its organs. The buffalo's cries fall on deaf ears as the dragons continue to rip apart its flesh. The larger reptile focuses intently on filling its starving belly with some buffalo meat. It rips apart the calf's innards and greedily eats the target's entrails, while the prey is still alive. The resilience of the buffalo proves to be its downfall, as it has no choice but to withstand the unfathomable pain of being consumed alive. Its only hope is to pass out from the shock and blood loss. The banded pig, also known as the Indonesian wild boar, has a short face with a white band on the muzzle and sparsely distributed fur. The pigs are fairly large, growing up to 106 pounds in weight. Wild boars are bulky omnivores with an extensive diet range. Naturally, they eat anything edible that they come across while sniffing through the forest floor, plants, and animal matter. The list of animals a wild boar might indulge in are small mammals, eggs, and insects. Although they do not shy away from eating meat, about 90% of their diet relies on plant matter. Here, a pygmy Komodo dragon tracks down the carcass of a larger wild boar. The pig has been dead for a while and is covered in flies. This does not demoralize the hungry predator as it proceeds to dig into the carcass as soon as it arrives on the scene. After taking a couple of bites out of the pig, the lizard does a 360, trying to determine if the bystander recording its behavior might be a threat to its lunch. The voracious lizard returns to the carcass, and this time it goes all in on the meal, tearing open the contents of the dead pig's belly. The pygmy Komodo dragon will definitely eat to its heart's content. A Komodo dragon has a strong stomach that can digest the most rotten carcasses and carrions. The stomach acid in this predator is so potent that it can digest almost every part of the prey they swallow. Normally, a Komodo dragon can ingest up to 80% of its body weight at a go. Once they are properly stuffed, they will lie under the sun using the energy from the sun to aid digestion. When the food is digested, the lizards regurgitate a gastric bulb that contains teeth, horns, hair, and pieces of their diet that cannot be digested. In this clip, a Komodo dragon uses its sharp sense of smell to sniff out the carcass of a massive, decaying albino wild boar. Immediately, the lizard observes the meal, thinking of where to start with the feast. It goes around the carcass and decides to begin at the stomach. With each bite, it uses its large, curved, serrated teeth to rip apart chunks of flesh from the dead boar. The dragon moves to the pig's behind and begins digging in from that area. It sticks most of its face in the rotting flesh of its meal, just to get more mouthfuls. It is safe to say that the dragon will not leave its prize alone until its stomach is properly filled to the brim with meat. Wild chickens are not safe from the ravenous Komodo dragon. In this clip, a big lizard chases a black chicken in a field. The chicken does its best by flying a couple of feet away from the hungry reptile. However, the lizard is determined to end the life of the bird. The bird returns to the spot under the tree, trying to protect her eggs, but that decision spells its doom as it cannot escape the Komodo's sharp jaws. The lizard consumes the hen whole. It is certain that once it is done eating the hen, the eggs the bird died protecting are the next item on the menu. Here is another Komodo dragon's classic feeding habit of tracking down the smell of death. This massive lizard discovers a dead baby goat. It walks up to it and immediately grabs it by the head. It wastes no time swallowing the carcass whole. The kid might have been a victim of the Komodo dragon's venom, and the attacker simply tracked it down to complete its kill. Either way, the baby goat is now a part of the circle of life, providing sustenance for the massive beast for the next few weeks. Since the islands of Indonesia are surrounded by water, the dragons on the islands have adapted to seeking out food sources on land and in water. Although most of the Komodo's diet is from creatures found on land, they also have an appetite for seafood. They are great swimmers, but they rarely go into deep waters. Most of their seafood conquest lies in scavenging or picking off unlucky marine animals that find themselves too close to the shore. This predator is a terrifying animal with the skills required to survive and rule over its territory. Komodos are voracious eaters that will hunt just about anything. In this video, a large lizard goes to the shores of a beach and waits patiently for prey to get close enough. Its patience is rewarded, as it is able to get a shark in its powerful jaws. Even marine creatures are not safe from this predator's insatiable appetite. The massive lizard makes sure to properly bite the shark's head deeply before swallowing it whole. If the shark is still alive after ingestion, one cannot help but wonder if it will squirm in its belly. Talk about stomach-turning food. Cannibalism in Komodo dragon groups is not uncommon. A shocking 10% of the Komodo dragon's diet consists of adults eating young ones. Due to the presence of this threat, baby Komodos will typically spend the beginning of their lives in trees, safe from the ravenous jaws of the large adult. While young, Komodos are incredibly great climbers, using their powerful claws to navigate the vertical world of arboreal life. As they get older and bigger, they lose the ability to climb due to their massive bulk. In this video, two Komodo dragons can be seen duking it out under a building. It is not an even matchup because one of the lizards is an adult while the other is an adolescent. In a cannibalistic act, the adult Komodo clamps down on the smaller lizard, trying to overpower and consume it. The vulnerable young Komodo is not a slouch either, as it attacks its aggressor in a similar way. Both lizards bite down on the other's tails. In the deadlock, the adult lizard can only move around in a circle, as it devises new strategies to attack and consume its target. The situation does not look well for the little guy. While you are here, go ahead and click one of these two videos on your screen. We'll see you there.